Hello and welcome everybody to another Thursday Night Fever episode, streaming live with my buddy, my pal, my co-host, Chadwick Ed, fine gentleman over here. Ed's got an interesting stream tonight after we get done with this one, which I think is also going to be interesting. But we're going to be talking about the ALA, which is where Ed is out at now. I know, looks like John and Lisa just wrapped up. So I was going to go through a couple of random things, but before we dive into the chat, because I do want to make tonight about getting to some questions and answering some things, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. John's got me in a ranty mood with his feeder fish discussion. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. You all have already probably listened to an hour and a half with John over there at KG Tropicals. But there are a couple things I wanted to point out. I was in and out of his stream, so maybe he covered a few of these and I missed it. But as I was prepping, there are some things when it comes to feeder fish that I always try and bring up to people. The first is my personal experience, so you know where I stand at. I'm not opposed to feeder fish in general. I am kind of the same standpoint as he is. I'm opposed to the feeder fish that you more oftentimes than not get from a pet store. And there are several reasons for that, and we won't go real deep into most of them. You know, the potential for disease and parasites and things of that nature, the poor quality of health they're oftentimes in. But one big thing that I do like to make sure people are aware of is specifically with goldfish and rosy red minnows, because those are very common feeder fish that you see. So goldfish and rosy red minnows are both from the Cyprinidae family, like carps. They're cyprinids. Those fish contain very high levels of thiaminase. And what thiaminase does is it essentially destroys thiamine, better known as vitamin B1, and causes vitamin B1 deficiencies in your fish. That can lead to things such as hole in the head, wasting, and some other things as well. So that's the main reason, is not even looking at the moral standpoint on whether or not it's right or wrong. It's simply looking at the fact that most commonly available feeder fish are not healthy for your house fish, your little water pets there. They're just not, especially long term. It's not a necessity, because I did see some questions in John's chat asking about, and one specifically was piranha, which I will say I've read and braised piranha without any live feeders, solely off of available fish foods in the store. So if any of those people are watching, I'll answer that. I've done feeder fish before, but not the garden variety. I feel like if you're going to do feeder fish, and again, I'm not going to dwell on this long, goes back to raising your own. And Ed's going to get mad at me. Do a muck guppy strain or Inler strain and do your own feeder fish that way, or just big cichlids. But the fact of the matter is, not all, but most of the fish that we keep in our aquariums, they're not piscivores. And piscivore being a fish eater. It's Latin derived from Pisces, which most people would be more familiar with the sign or the constellation Pisces, which is the fishes are plural. While they're opportunistic eaters, they're not necessarily piscivores, or if you prefer the Greek derivative ichthyophages, again, fish eaters. They'll eat those fish if they get the opportunity to, but typically their natural diet is not primarily that. There are some common examples of piscivores, and that would be some of your African cichlids. But I find that those are typically not the fish that we're getting feeder fish for. The majority of time that people are getting feeder fish, it's not for their African cichlids. Jimmy B says, "Why do you hate guppies, James?" I don't. I love guppies. I'm just saying that's a fish that it makes sense. Live bear, very easy to breed. The goldfish thing, it's just they're not good. That's where I like to chime in. That being said, with your piscivores, case in point, the African cichlids, most people aren't getting feeder fish for African cichlids. And we help their dietary requirements with other things, such as frozen foods, to make up for that and to make sure they get the nutrients. So that's kind of my rant on the topic, because I was sitting there going, no, this and that and the other while I was listening.
Can I say just a little?
Absolutely. You go right ahead, buddy.
And you said that I would be upset about, oh gosh, a really loud car outside the hotel. Okay, I am not opposed whatsoever of the feeding mutt guppies, like you said. But honestly, when I'm line breeding, I have no, you might get a really ugly boy, and you don't even want to put him in your mutt guppy tank. So it's a call. And, most of my calls go in the mutt guppy tank because I like surprises, But I mean, if you got a bent spine, you go in the Beischer tank. And if you're just like the ugliest boy to ever be born, you go in the Beischer tank.
Right. Absolutely.
Like my platinum red tails. I fished out one last week. He was almost all black with just a little bit of red. And it was smirches of platinum. It was just, I don't know how he got his genetics. I mean, everybody else is beautiful, and then this guy's like a mutant. And, it's not mean to throw elephant boy to the wolves, but,
it is very, very common. Yeah, it's very common in the breeding side of things when you get into people that are, breeding live bearers or even other things. Beischer accepts all sacrifices. Absolutely. A lot of fish do, just like Oscars accept all things. And Oscars is a fairly common one. And again, I won't go way into it. John's talked about it. He's got great videos, KG Tropicals. A lot of other people have as well. But Oscars are not true piscivores, or piscivores if you prefer to say it that way. But it's Pisces from Latin. Either way, I don't care. Like Beischer, Bicker, Biker, however you want to say it, totally up to you. No judgment. Somebody mentioned bugs, and I wish I could find that again. And it was Keith Hanshaw said, wouldn't bugs be a better choice than feeders? So, Oscars, their primary diet, although, again, opportunistic and will eat other small fishes, as most things, most big fish, if it fits in my mouth and I get a chance, I'm going to eat it. Their primary diet is mostly bugs and crustaceans. So, yeah, and that's why, yes, there can be some nutrients from feeder fish. Really, you have the option of getting something that's, a off-the-shelf fish food. Oftentimes contains fish in it, but it's got added things to it to make it even better, even more nutritious, even healthier fish. Go ahead, buddy.
I was just hanging out with Ginger Graves and Bob Kaler 2 weeks ago, and she's been having a hard time getting her African butterfly fish to eat. And Bob said that, I think it was Bob who said, I think that they'll eat small crickets. And so we asked that to the fish store owner, and he ran over and got some. He said he'd never fed them, that before. He threw a couple of baby ones in there, the little crickets. They gobbled them up off. It was so cool. And, they didn't have any problem eating it. It was just natural in their head to eat that thing, and they'd never ate it in their life. So I think bugs are great.
Yeah, so Steven P2003 Quark, it's good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for being a member. Says, so let's say you don't have a guppy eating fish or critter. What do you do with your super ugly guppies?
Well, you like salad?
Right.
Just say.
So you can set up a small tank, and I have seen people do that, people that aren't comfortable feeding their culls to others, even if they had the option to, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not shaming either side of it. It's one of those to each their own things. But I have seen people set up a tank specifically for those culls. If you're as fortunate as like Ed and myself and a lot of other people, but I know not everybody, and you have a nearby fish keeping community, a lot of times you can find somebody that would be interested in those fish.
If you have a bird bath, drop them in your bird bath. They'll eat the mosquitoes in there.
Start a little mini.
Bird will eat it.
Yeah, you could do a little very small pond. I've been to Sean Peck's house and seen his little outdoor pond, and it's not a massive pond. It's just a nice little, very attractive water feature that he's put right there by his porch in his neighborhood, which is a very nice neighborhood. And it's very aesthetically pleasing. It's big enough for any culls to go in. You could do a tub. So there are some other options. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you to just flush them. If you are absolutely like, I have to get rid of these things, there is the old stick them in the freezer method, but I'm not even going to necessarily say to do that just because it's not a pretty fish. That's typically when you've got a fish that for health reasons it needs to go down. And you can do something like that, or clove oil would be another option, but I'm not going to necessarily say you need to do that.
I can't kill a fish, like kill a fish.
Yeah.
Just because it's ugly.
Absolutely.
I mean, they get a fighting chance. Maybe the biosure won't want to eat that guy. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe it'll just do wonderful.
Absolutely.
Normally when they go to sleep, it's not like it's night or lights out.
Definitely. All right, so I am looking for any highlighted questions or comments from the chat. If you put the @ symbol in front of Fish Room Fever, and then you can put that in front of or behind your question or comment, that will highlight on my screen so it pops up and I can acknowledge it more easily. Let's see. Paul Stero says, Fish Room Fever, I've used rosy reds to cycle my goldfish pond before the expensive fish in. Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great fish. Oftentimes those fish are seen as disposable. A lot of times people will get feeder fish to cycle a tank. And then, so they, a lot of times they'll just bag them back up and go by the local fish store they got them from and be like, here, you can have these back, here you go. Appreciate it. We got them on loan for a while. We rent some fish to cycle a tank. All right, let me go through. I do want to say a huge thank you to all the members that showed up earlier for that members only live stream. So we could test some of the technical stuff on the other streaming software that I'm trying to get implemented. I don't know what happened. I appreciate you all being there. But it's one of those things. It worked great until it didn't work. And then when it didn't work, it was done. So I appreciate everybody hanging out. We will be doing some more members only live streams for you all. I'd like to do once a week. And I'd like to get Ed involved in those when he is available. But definitely more of those are coming. I know we had some fun ideas and concepts going in that earlier of things we could all do together. So again, thank you to all of the members. Appreciate your support, showing up and helping me work through some technical stuff and just having a fun time before all the Thursday night streams got kicked off. T-Bones Fishy says, what are feeder fish? I guess basic blandest definition would simply be fish that you purchase or purchase or breed for the specific function of feeding the other fish. Hey, multi-tank addiction. Chris, I appreciate that, brother. The $1 super sticker there with that big brown pile of fertilizer. I'm looking forward to getting to meet you out there at Aquashella Dallas, my friend. It's going to be awesome, brother. And thanks for the super chat and the support, buddy. All right. I know I had another one highlighted up here. Scroll on back. Whips World, it said, James, those angels are enormous. Yeah, so I'm using a green screen setup minus the green screen. It's a video editing program that I have running right now. So I threw that back there just because I really love the underwater 4K shot of that community tank. It's got a different variety than you see a lot of times. Most people wouldn't quote unquote trash there, and I say that as somebody that has the glowfish, but most people wouldn't trash their beautiful planting community tank with glowfish. Because that's typically the way that would be viewed. So I really like the mix because you don't see it a lot, along with some of the other fish that are included in there. All right. So jumping into what we're doing and why we're doing it. Not only this platform, but this specific format on YouTube with the live stream, live chat, it really lends itself to being able to help the community and to be able to grow. We've got some really awesome people in here. And it's not just about, I'll preface, it's not just about me or Ed and myself having all the answers and helping everyone. We're just a couple of fish guys. We never claim to be experts and we probably never will. But it's not just us bringing our experiences. It's also all the amazing, not just hobbyists, but also other creators, other people that have YouTube channels that are in this chat that have that wealth of knowledge. So it's great when somebody comes in with a question and you've got 20, 30, 40 people in the chat, and there's a combined experience of hundreds of years of fish keeping, when you add everybody up, to be able to help answer questions. Whereas maybe I haven't had that experience because I typically talk based off of my experiences. I don't like to go into things that I'm not personally familiar with. Even if I've read about it, a lot of times I still like, well, I read this, but I don't know for sure. So it's a great format for us to be able to not just Ed and myself try and help, but have all these wonderful people in the chat that definitely try to help. So if you do ever ask a question, I would encourage you not just to be looking for answers from myself and Ed, but also be looking in the chat, because we've got some very knowledgeable and experienced people that are hanging out in here with us.
Heck yeah.
Speaking of which, Paul Sotero, how's it going? Says, sorry I missed the members only stream, but I've got the family in from New Jersey. Hey, no problem. No problem. Never a need to apologize for that. But there will be more of those coming, and I'd like to make it a weekly thing and do some of the things that we discussed in there. And the members can go back and watch it. Like I said, everything worked great until it crashed, and then it was like, well, it's about 10 minutes till KG Tropical, so let's all head over there and we'll try it again another time. Richard Reynolds, good to see you, says, I've never seen feeder fish in a store that look healthy. The majority of times you don't. Most of the time, days. Yeah, not these days. And like maybe it was touched on, with KG Tropicals, I think mentioned briefly, a lot of times they're coming from fish farms, and a lot of times the local fish stores and the box fish stores as well, they all have the same sources. So even if you have a phenomenal local pet store, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have the availability to get good, clean, healthy feeder fish. They probably have the same option. Your mom and pop probably has the same option as your Petco or your PetSmart or something along those natures. In terms of somewhere along that wholesale chain, they came from the same fish farm, going all the way back to where they originated, whether they're ordering from the same people or not, because typically, small business isn't ordering from the same specific places, a big box with more buying power. But typically they originated from the same body of water type setup, the same fish farm. So that's why a lot of times you don't see them healthy, is because that original source doesn't cater to healthy, happy fish. It caters to these things are super cheap, and we need to crank out the numbers as high and as fast as possible. And that in and of itself is a shame. That's a whole nother rant I don't want to get into, but that's driven from the desire or the quote unquote need to have those feeders in the hobby.
Can I just do a shout out real quick?
Absolutely, my friend.
Reynolds, that you just answered his question there. Mm-hmm. He's here at the ALA. And
awesome.
You call him Rick when you get to meet him. He's a great guy in such a small world. His high school is my high school's rival.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And thank you for being here, Rick. I do appreciate everybody in there. I know I did turn it to where if you want to talk, you have to be a subscriber for a whole minute. So I felt like that wasn't much of an ask. So I appreciate those of you all that have subscribed tonight very, very much. I've decided I'm not going to ask for subscribers in my videos anymore. So the fact that you all have, I appreciate it. Rolling on through here, getting questions and comments. Chris Robertson says, without leaving the chat to look, what does membership cost? So I have several levels. The cheapest one's $1.99 a month because I know financially times are hard for a lot of people. So I made that an option. If you're somebody that can do it without hurting yourself and you wanted to support at the $4.99 level, that's always appreciated. You're welcome to do that. But it starts at $1.99 a month, which is cheaper than a cup of coffee for most people. So that gets you some behind the scenes things. And then I've got some special stuff for some of the higher tiers that we'll get into later, because I'm really trying to go.
Guy.
Yeah, he is. I'm trying to go back to my nature of under promising and over delivering until it's always better to do that. So under promising, over delivering is where I'd like to be at. But it gets you behind the scenes videos and clips and access to some stuff. Not just the members only live streams, but also I put up videos for the members that maybe everybody wouldn't want to see, but the people that are typically members have a more committed interest in some of the stuff that goes on in video that's not going to go public, as well as access to the awesome emojis. And I say they're awesome because the members love them so much. So you can play with those in the chat and comments and things like that. But I appreciate you asking, Chris Robertson, regardless of whether or not you decide to do so. And again, sorry that may have turned into a plug, but I wanted to be thorough in answering that without going too deep into it. Jimmy P's Aquariums became a member. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the Fish Room Fever family, brother. Thank you so much. Joining in on Team Bristol Nose, Lonnie, aka Looney Tunes. Welcome to you as well. I feel like those both may have been re-ups. I feel like y'all are members before. I know y'all have been around hanging out for a while and supporting the channel, but I appreciate you all so very, very much. T-Bones Fishy says, I'm a member, but I don't have a tag next to my name. You've got the purple emblem. You do have the purple emblem on there that shows you being a member. And that is the between 6 months and 12 months, because they have different levels, different month levels. I feel like that's between 6 and 12 months, and then the blue is the 12 month, if I'm not mistaken. Zen will correct me if I'm mistaken. She pays very close attention to that. We've got a lot of awesome people here. But yeah, I see it on there, and I appreciate you, T-Bone. As always, good day. Thanks for being here. Monica Sieber says, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for sharing Summer's Journey with you. We're sharing Summer's Journey with those on your show. A quick update. She is doing good. She's had 5 rounds of chemo. Again, thank you. Absolutely. I'm glad to hear that she's doing well. And we try to help. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's why I created a channel, was to try and help people bring value and make the world a better place. So anything we can ever do to help someone, I'm all for it. All right, rolling on down through here.
Did you see Delilah had a question for you?
I thought I saw one, and then it jumped on me. You want to read that one off? You got it in front of you?
Well, I just remember it. I don't remember what exactly she said. She was wondering if you were going to be dressing up at Aquashella Dallas. And if so, she would really like to know what the Fishing Fever is going to go as.
So I don't know for sure that I will. I will be. I need to bleach and dye my hair again. I've got the stuff to do that. It's just a matter of getting it done beforehand. I don't know for sure if I'll be dressing up or not. But in the spirit of Ed is real big on not telling people what he's going to dress up as.
Nobody gets to know.
So maybe we do a collaboration in our dress up. We do a cooperative costume, and then I can't tell you. But at this point, I don't know that I am. I've got a lot of stuff I need to get done just to be prepared to go, both from the fish keeping side and the fish tube side of getting things ready and gear and tech and charging things and trying to get some content rounded out. But at this point, I don't know that I am. But who knows? Maybe what I might do, if I do decide to do something, is share a little preview with the members, because you all enjoy stuff like that. All right. It was Eduardo Antonio Ringo Costa. Again, thanks for being a member, Eduardo, and appreciate you being on that stream earlier. Says, I saved feeder fish 11 years ago. It was in quotation marks, which is why I added it on the screen. I have 15 still in my outside pool pond. They were an inch. Now they are a long fin common about 7 inches, and they are stunningly gorgeous. Just saying. Absolutely. You can get some really beautiful fish that come from that feeder fish tank. And that's awesome that you did that. And I'm glad that you're enjoying them. And they sound like they've grown to be beautiful, beautiful fish. And kudos to you for doing that, my friend, as I smack the laptop. T-Bones Fishies says, I didn't get the members notification till late. It was over when I got the notification. So that is one of the issues. YouTube, that's still in a testing phase with all of the members things, which is why I have to do a community post. And I will be doing those further in advance, because it seems like a lot of the members get notifications for things 12, 24 hours later sometimes. So I will be setting those up in advance. But it was one of those, I was at the laptop, I was working on streaming stuff. I said, you know what? We've got some time before KG goes live. Let's just kick it out there. If it sends a notification out and we get a few members, we can hang out. If not, at least I'll be able to kind of look at it and see what's working, what's not, and what I need to tweak. But I will schedule them in advance going forward. Not that I won't ever do a pop-up, but I will definitely schedule a weekly one in advance so that you all get plenty of time to get that notification, which goes on the community tab if you're on the Fish Room Fever home page of YouTube. I do also set up a members section. If you're on the main page, you can scroll down past like popular videos to recent live streams, and there's a members section. To make it easier for the members to find things, since you don't always get notifications. Dee
Dee suggests that you go as algae. Maybe you could be beard algae.
Well, see, and I thought about that. I had even joked about doing that last year because I had the longer beard. I'm like, I'll just dye it green and go as some beard algae or some hair algae.
and I don't know who it was now, but somebody suggested that you'd make a great Joker.
Okay, maybe we could do that. I know that Mrs. Fever would be more than willing to help with that. She's a huge Batman, Joker, and Harley Quinn fan, so absolutely. All right, and again, thank you to Jimmy P's Aquariums and Looney, aka Looney Tunes, for becoming members. And that's one of the fun things I'm working on with that tech on the side, that new streaming software. It's got some celebratory emotes and sounds and things that pop up to kind of help celebrate and thank you all for joining. But we'll get there. We're going to keep working on it before we crash a stream like we did last week again. Jimmy P's Aquarium says, I'm very serious when I say I love you guys. You both have made my life better. Jimmy, that means the world to me. That really, really does. I am, and to the point that maybe sometimes it detracts from me being in as many fish streams as I probably should be in. But I'm very huge on the motivational side of YouTube and the creator, learning about YouTube. Like those are the big things I listen to. But most of what I do is motivational stuff and how to be a better person and how to make the world a better place mindset. So anytime I hear something like that, it hits personal because I want to bring the value. So thank you so much. And I appreciate you, buddy. And I love you guys too. I really, really do. This community is amazing. And you've allowed me to help share, I guess, myself with the world in a way that I hope brings value to other people's lives. Blue Rhino Games, how's it going? Good to see you again. Says, my super red bristlenose pleco has colored up so much, and I do believe it is a male because I'm starting to see bristles. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that it's coloring up for you now. And yet chances are, not always, but if you're starting to see bristles, just let those develop. It's probably going to be a male. You can get some females with some bristling, but statistically, more oftentimes than not, you're going to end up with a male. All right. Sarah J. Seaver says, Mom always told me to glue Smarties candy to pants and go as a Smarty Pants. I love it. I love that. That's great. That is great. All right. Rolling down here. I'm still playing with the multi-screen setup. There we go. Oh, Multi-Tank Addiction member for 12 months. Again, thank you, brother. You'll be getting that blue badge soon. I bet if I looked, it's like 11 months and 27 days. It's something super close. So see you in a little over a week at Aquashella. That's going to be so much fun. Now, Ed's already having a blast down at ALA, and I haven't mentioned much about it because we're going to talk about that on his stream. So if you want to hear about that, I encourage you to go check that out as soon as we end here. And then he will, of course, be followed by Rico Stan, another member of the Fish Room Fever family of channels, rolling through the Thursday nights with you. But, brother, thank you. I'm really looking forward to getting to meet you. It was a shame last year that, life happened and the conventions got canceled. I understand, but I was really looking forward to getting to hang out with you finally in person. So it's a week away. Hopefully nothing goes crazy, right? And we'll be hanging out, brother. So again, looking forward to it. And thank you for all of your support, not just as a member, but also everything you've done to help me out as I've kind of traveled through the YouTube journey on FishTube. T-Bones Fishies says, oh, come back here, comment. There it is. T-Bones Fishy says, I had a tiger barbs. Must have died last night. Because I found out the pleco eating him, or found the pleco eating him this morning. Just wondering if that is normal with plecos. Yes, they are definitely opportunistic scavengers. And a lot of plecos we keep actually do enjoy some carcass in their diet, just to put it mildly, I guess. But yeah, it happens fairly often. If you have a fish that dies off, it's not uncommon to see your pleco nomin on that thing, having a little munch at it.
Now, plecos are like a catfish, right? I mean, they're like in the catfish line, or I don't know where it divides for.
They are in the Loricariidae family. They're armored catfish. Plecos are armored catfish.
That's what it was. Armored catfish. Yeah. So they're scavengers.
Yep.
Opportunity.
Yep. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to plecos so much, but your catfish would be one of those that is often considered to be a piscivore, primarily feeding off of fish, not necessarily live. They like a lot of carcasses and dead fish, but that's one that's their primary diet a lot of times. Just to segue that back around to what we were talking about earlier. Rico Stan, been a member for 15 months on Team Snowball. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rico Stan. I appreciate you. It says, pretty sure we're going to Kentucky next year for the Triple Crown. No way you guys will miss that event, right? That's not going to get missed. We will be at that one.
I'm a little disappointed with Rico because he ate all the cheese.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. We may have to miss out on that one if there's not going to be any of that cheese from Rico Stan.
I know. We were kind of depending on the cheese.
Definitely. No, we will be there. We'll be there. That is far too close and far too cool for me to miss out on. I mean, it's going to be awesome having all those groups together under one roof.
Well, I mean, just so far, I've met probably 50 people today, and this is like 2 days before the event actually really kicks off. We don't even have our lanyards yet. And everybody's been so nice. You know, in the past, I've gone to different events that are kind of known as like old head type things where the older people just kind of ignored everyone else. This has been so pleasant. Everybody's been so nice. It's super cool. It's just been really nice.
I'm glad to hear that. I really am. So Alec Kumanoff's got a question for you. I don't know if you want to answer it now or wait till you get to your hour because it's on that topic. But it says, either of you thinking about getting some goodies or anything else unusual at ALA?
Oh, well, if I get anything, it's going to be some goodies, probably.
Very nice.
Today, well, yeah, we'll go a lot more in depth on that because I wanted to talk about the convention, even though I've only been here for 1 day, just how much I've done so far and what I'm planning to do, because I forgot my craft. I was going to do a Halloween special craft from the hotel room. So next week, hopefully, maybe I'll actually have some help from Robert and James on my craft, and we'll do it in the hotel room, or maybe we'll do it down in the hall at the place, because the plan is to be there Thursday night.
Yep. Alrighty. And I am not at the convention. I'll clarify that. I think I touched on it, but I did not go. I am still at home. It just wasn't feasible for me to go there and the next week go to Aquashella. It's one of those things. Maybe next year I'll go to. But I've been blessed to be able to get to the Aquashellas this year and to be able to go to the one coming up next week. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I look swollen right here.
We'll run you through some video editing software and we'll clear that up for you. Okay.
I'm like pushing to see if I got a sore tooth and I don't. I don't know.
Alrighty. Alice B says, do you think it's worth doing fancy goldfish tank considering all their health problems? They look adorable, but I don't want to get attached and only have it live shortly. So, I think there are some beautiful fancy goldfish out there, and I know we've got a lot of people. What I would probably recommend is, if you're really debating it in terms of if you should or should not, formerly Solid Gold Aquatics Jenny, or I think it's Jennifer Lynx is what she's got the channel name as now. It used to be Solid Gold. She was all the goldfish, all the things. She did a video after she came back talking specifically about her thoughts after the fact on keeping these goldfish, keeping fancy goldfish. Sorry, I trimmed my mustache and I've got like one hair that's just tickling me wrong.
Oh, me nuts.
Yeah. But she did a great video talking about it from her experience. I don't have that level of experience with it. So I feel like that would be worth giving a watch to get her insights on it, being somebody that was kind of known for the goldfish and known for the fancies, and then coming back after the fact and going and taking a look at it morally and ethically. I will always encourage people, if there's something that you want to do in this hobby, some type of species you want to keep, breeding project, or if it's, Cares fish, whatever, something you want to do, to give it a try with the best intentions and understanding going into it. Again, going back to that tank method we talked about, TANK, time acquiring new knowledge. Take that perspective, learn as much as you can. That sounds like you have, because you understand the life expectancies and things of that nature. And then look at it and go, am I going to get more attached to that thing in the short time I have it than it's worth going through the loss of it? Because that kind of sounds like that's playing into it with you as well, Alice. I don't see anything wrong with it if it's something you decide to do, but I'm also not going to encourage everyone to go set up a fancy goldfish tank for reasons similar to that. Those are all beautiful fish there, Ed.
This was at one of the farms I went to today.
Very, very nice.
Farms that were outdoors.
That is so cool. I'm jealous, Ed. I'm jealous. So
Look at this cute little guy.
I'm so happy for you, buddy. See, they are adorable, adorable fish.
They really, really are. And these
Biscotti,
guys are the young
sorry.
ones.
Yeah, they're little cuties. It looks like you're having an awesome time down there. We'll talk more about that on your stream because I'm looking forward to hearing about it. I really am. Biscotti Nanya says, hey, haven't been around here in a while, so hello. Also, I've started a new med and I found myself having a much harder time trying to enjoy my tanks. Any tips to get around this? Well, it is good to see you, Biscotti. I'm sorry that you're having a harder time, but I can definitely understand that. Medications is one of those things that can definitely affect mood and all that stuff. And I don't know your particular situation, but just speaking from my mental health perspective, and we've talked about this, and John did a stream on it, I think last week, about mental health and fish keeping. But as someone that's kind of been there, where it can just be, I don't enjoy it as much. I would so for me, and then again, this is what works for me. I don't know exactly where you're at in terms of how many tanks and how much you're having to put into maintaining those tanks. But I will definitely say that from the aspect of a lack of enjoyment or getting overwhelmed, which often comes with or causes that lack of enjoyment in this particular hobby, sometimes downsizing can help. Sometimes it's just creating a new environment to look at. So it may simply be, and I don't necessarily mean go out and buy a bunch of new stuff and rescape a tank, but it could simply be, okay, well, I've got these 4 tanks and I just don't enjoy them quite as much as I used to. So maybe I'm going to take the rock from this tank and the wood from this tank, and I'm going to rebuild a scape here, and I'm going to mismatch and move around some of the different hardscaping features. Or maybe I've got some fish that are in here that are also compatible to go in this other tank. Hi, Kenny. I see that. I can't
type because my mouse is broke. It's so difficult.
So those are some things for me. Another thing I look at is, again, going into maintenance, which you didn't mention it being a maintenance issue or being overwhelming, but I know oftentimes that does go hand in hand with a lack of enjoyment, as I'm spending too much time working on tanks and not enough time enjoying them. So that can be trying to get it set up if you don't have plants, adding plants in so that you have a more balanced ecosystem. It makes it easier to manage that. Maybe it's something to where, okay, I'm not going to break down all my tanks, but maybe I lessen the load in some of my tanks so I don't have to feed as much, I don't have to clean as much, and I don't have to put as much work into it, so I can spend more time enjoying it. But again, if it's not as visually appealing, or I'm not finding the fun in it, you can try mixing things up without even having to buy new stuff a lot of times. And a lot of times, most of us have extra things lying around. We have extra wood, we have extra rock, we have our piles of things we don't really use for decorations. And try and liven things up. That may help you. Again, it's very much one of those to each their own when it comes to observation of our fish tanks and what we enjoy. I can enjoy a tank that a high-level aquascaper probably won't enjoy because it's not as aesthetically appealing to them, because it's not what they look for. I can enjoy a guppy tank that's got a bunch of guppy grass thrown into it, where they look and they go, that's a horrible trash tank. There's no scaping to it. You just throw a bunch of guppy grass in there with some inlers swimming around.
Hey, man, that's 90% of my tanks.
I know, right? But that's my point, is that we enjoy stuff like that. You and I do, and a lot of other people do as well. Whereas a quote-unquote professional aquascaper, or somebody who's won contests or studied the art of aquascaping, would look at that, and that's just not visually appealing to them. They would just see that as a generic tank, I guess.
Yeah, I've been talking to 2 of them today directly, and it's just a whole different world.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Absolutely. Multi-tank addiction. Thank you, brother, for the $2 super chat. Says, remember medieval times at least one night. He's wanting to do the medieval times thing. We will certainly try and see. We'll talk to you more when we get out there. We don't really have a solid laid out plan. And I guess, Ed, I need to announce to you, I don't know if you heard it on John's stream. I don't think you did because you were at some sort of talk or convention, some sort of ALA thing. But we're actually going to be hosting on his channel next week, his stream. He's got some, well, you're welcome to be there. You're not required to be there, but he asked me if I would do it because he's may not be back in time to be there for the start of his stream.
Well, then we have to be there.
So, yeah. Well, my impression was we were leaving Wednesday, which would give us plenty of time to be there. So I didn't see any factor in that.
And you and I are talking at 6 o'clock on the Aqua channel, on the Aquashella channel.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that or not.
I had not been informed of that, but now I do know. But I wanted to mention it to you because you're, of course, welcome and encouraged to be on there with me as we host the KT Tropicals channel, at least for a little while until he shows up. So I think that'll be fun. But yeah, so a lot of fun stuff. Don't really have a whole lot of things like nailed down in planning, but that's one of the things that I know we'll be doing. So always open to go do fun stuff. That's why I'm there, is to hang out with the fish fam, not just the creators, but also the quote unquote fans, the members of the community. So always looking to do fun stuff with the fish people. But Scotty Ananya says, thank you so much. It's like when I start working on them, I really enjoy it, but it's so hard to get myself to start. I really appreciate your advice. Thanks again. I won't go off on a tangent because I very much could in terms of the motivational side of things. But what I would say is if you're physically able to, when you have that thought to do it, stand up and go do it. Without getting real deep into stuff, your brain is hardwired into protecting you from yourself, from life. So if you can do it within the first 5 seconds, when you have a thought, if you can just get up and get into it, that doesn't really give your mind a chance to talk you out of doing things. It doesn't give time for any doubts or fears or worries to come in, because as soon as those come in, your brain wants to protect you from those things that it's picking up as a threat. So that's been helpful for me, and that's why I mention it, because I have that same issue of trying to get in and do something. And once I get started, it's great, and I'm rolling with it, and it's fun. But I've had times where I'll sit there for 2 hours and be like, man, I really need to go edit this. And then I'll get off into like thinking about how I'm going to edit it when I could just be at the computer doing it. But I find if I have a thought and I'm up and I'm moving, then I'm already into it. I don't have time to talk myself out of it, and I can get stuff accomplished and get to the fun part. Because like you said, really enjoy it once you get there, but it's that mental state of not getting yourself to start it. So give that a try. Don't give yourself a chance to talk yourself out of it. That's as far as I'll go on the motivational gig on here.
That was me typing.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
My fish tanks aquatics. Good to see you. Says very natural looking to me. Fish room fever with little wink. Thank you so much. My fish tanks aquatics. Do me a favor. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe, but I will ask you to hit that like button if you're having a good time. If you've gotten any sort of value tonight, and if you're enjoying the new software that I'm using, if you're getting a good quality picture coming through and good crisp audio, hit the like button and let me know. And I'll keep on rolling with this, because I feel like it brings it up a level. It gives you better audio, better video. And I try and bring a more enjoyable experience to you all. Even though I know a lot of people don't watch, they just lurk and listen, and I greatly appreciate that. But again, that's where that audio comes into play. All right. I'm sure I've got some stuff. There we go. T-Bones Fishy says, you're so far behind in the chat, LOL. My timestamps aren't on. I need to fix my timestamps. Google, or toggle, rather. I say Google, toggle timestamps. Looks like I'm getting caught up. Palmer Aquatics, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. Says, question, I'm having a very hard time disconnecting from fish tanks. Sold all my belongings and bought 27 tanks sitting on the floor with no couches. So this is something I kind of have talked about. And again, I really do appreciate the super chat and your support. I know you've been a supported channel for a long time, and I love the stuff you do, Palmer. I'd love to get together and do some collaboration stuff, because I think you're an awesome person. But for me personally, and I've kind of mentioned this, but I hate to mention it in a chat when it can be taken out of perspective. I have a very addictive personality. And what I mean by that is not so much into um, drugs and alcohol. And I'm not speaking negatively if you do have struggles with those things, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is when I get into something, that is my focus. I have several hobbies that I very, very, very passionately enjoy, but I always enjoy them one at a time. So if I'm into working on my car and souping up my car and bolting things on and taking things off and performance modifications, that's where I'm at. And part of that can be the financial aspect of maintaining multiple hobbies at the same time, which a lot of people run into. But a big part of that is just my mental focus, my mental drive. A day-to-day example would be Mrs. Fever absolutely hates how I am when it comes to playing video games. She's the type of person that, I'll go play this game for an hour, and then I'll go play this game for 3 hours. Whereas I'm the type of person is if I'm playing this game, this is the game that I am into, and I'll play this one in my free time. That's the only one. And I'll do that for a month. And then I'll go, okay, well, I'll go play this other game now, because it's, in my mind, I'm investing everything into that particular thing versus going, well, I'm going to do 10% investment here, 50% investment there. I'm very bad at / very good at fully investing myself in one thing. And fish tanks is one of those things. And I've done that many times, going all in. Like you mentioned, sitting on the floor with no couches. We have some chairs in place to sit and whatever, but fish tanks definitely occupy a lot of space, especially for anybody that doesn't own it. I've mentioned it. I own a single wide trailer. Even with, at this point, being down to, because there was almost 100 tanks at one point, being down to around 30 tanks set up, that still occupies a lot of space, even when you mathematically plan things out and build racks for things. It can be very hard to avoid the addictive side of fish keeping. Not only because on a personal level, for people that have been there and understand that, it's such an easy hobby to get into. It doesn't have, the negative connotations, like say, if you're addicted to, gambling or drugs or alcohol, it doesn't have negative connotations. So it's not something that's quote unquote shameful. So you don't have really that backlash to kind of push you away from getting too deep or addicted to it. And not only that, with it being condoned, it also is oftentimes encouraged. Multi-tank addiction, multi-tank syndrome, fish room fever. And then being a creator as well, then you get the, if I have more tanks, I can have more fish, I can do more content, I can, all of that on that aspect of it. So if you combine, being a creator with being just a hobbyist, and I say just a hobbyist, not in the terms of, you're just a hobbyist, but if you only had that facet or that aspect to it, just in that sense. And then bringing personality into it, it can be very hard to find where's the line part. And it varies for everyone. Some people 4 tanks is a great place to be at. Some people 30 tanks is great. If you're LRB and you can maintain a couple hundred tanks, that's awesome. It's very much personalized and individualized on what is right for you. If you're somebody that's struggling right now, like as previously mentioned, to get motivated to go work on a tank, and you've gotten to the point beforehand where, I got, really heavy into it. I got in too deep and I set up 70 tanks and now I'm having a rough time with life. Now something's happened. Now I've changed the medication. I've had a mood shift, whatever it may be. Finding that fine line, there's not a way that I can tell you what it is because it varies for everyone. But it can be very hard disconnecting. And all I want to say is there are a lot of us out here that struggle with that. The thing that I can tell you to look at, I guess, is try and step back and measure where it weighs in on your personal life. Now, if you are somebody that is a full-time creator, you don't have a 9-to-5, and this is going to everybody that's watching, not just Palmer Aquatics, because we do have a lot of content creators in here. I would say at least 40% of the people watching have a channel. We'll even take it down to 30. That's still, we'll say a third of the people in here have a channel. It depends on your situation. You know, if you have all the time in the world to be at home with fish, and you can do all those things, that frees you up to be able to do more things without it negatively impacting your life. If you have a 9 to 5 and you have a family and you have 4 hours a week that you can devote to fish keeping, that very dramatically is going to affect how you enjoy your fish as well. Am I only going to get to spend time cleaning tanks and dealing with problems and things of that nature? So I guess looking at a balance, finding for yourself personally, each and every one of us, looking and going, what time do I have to commit? What energy and enthusiasm do I have to give to this? Also, as I've talked about before, looking at the worst case. You know yourself better than I do, and this goes to each of you. You know if you're prone to bouts of depression, or if you're prone to maybe some sort of physical thing kicking in that causes you to not be able to maintain your tanks as well as you would like to, or as is required. Weigh those things into consideration and go, well, okay, I'm doing great now. I have the time, I have the energy, I could set up 60 tanks, but I also know that I tend to get seasonal depression maybe. And going into the fall and the winter, I tend to have a hard time being motivated and enjoying life. Do I really want to go around into, sorry, my phone is trying to broadcast over to my TV. Let me close that. Do I really want to get myself into that, knowing that that's probably going to happen given my personal past and how I experienced life? A lot of factors to weigh in there. And I know I got way off on that, but again, that's another topic that I've talked about and I feel personally, and I can share some personal experiences with and tell you what has helped me and what has hurt me. So yeah, I definitely think it comes to personally finding that balance and understanding not just what does that mean now, but what does that mean for me in the future with having that many tanks. Side note though, congratulations on 27 more tanks. I mean, you could also do something really, really cool. You could build an aquarium couch. I don't think I've seen that done before. I've thought of that, but you could literally build a fish tank rack that has the fold up, the seating part as a couch, have, a futon mattress that goes on top of it. I mean, hey, do me a favor. If you get 1 million views on it, just say, hey, Fisher and Fever gave me the idea. Check him out. But how many people would be interested in that, even if they weren't necessarily fish keepers? They'd look and go, I built an aquarium couch? What? So, I mean, you never know. Maybe you can help incorporate that into your lifestyle and make it something new for you as well. All right. I know I've got some super chats coming up as well as questions and comments, and I've got about 8 minutes before Ed's stream starts up. So I'm going to burn through here. I'm sorry I segued off a little bit. Hopefully I didn't bore too many people. Still 94 people watching, and I very much appreciate that. Eduardo says, Fisher Fever, it'll be a blast next week. 3 hours of James and Ed. Awesome. Dude, I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. Not just here, but also I saw you over there supporting in KG Tropical Stream when they mentioned that we were going to be on there covering. Yeah, so it'll be... I'll be on the KG Tropical stream, and then John has offered to come on this stream, the Thursday Night Fever stream. And it's going to be me and Ed after that, and then Rico, Stan, rolling in after that. It's literally going to be the Fish Room Fever Thursday takeover from the Fish Room Fever family of channels. Sarah J. Sieber says, can you share anything about April 2022? I cannot at this point. There is a piece of media coming out in the near future that is going to give a lot of details. I can say it is the weekend before last in April, planned to be in Knoxville. It's going to be big. Not just in the sense of, hey, I'm planning something big, but also in the sense of the sheer size and volume of what we're doing. It's going to be big. And I should be able to, within the next week or so, I'll say 2 weeks, because it's not necessarily dependent upon me. There are other factors that I have to wait until the gag order is lifted and I can speak freely and throw the gas on the fire, if you will. But as soon as I'm told I'm allowed to, and I can share that feature with you, I'm really looking forward to telling you all what's going on. I'm so excited. It's going to be so much bigger than what we've talked about in the past and what was planned in the past that I can't wait to be able to share in detail with you what is going on in Knoxville, April of 2022, which is not that far around the corner, really, when you think of how fast time has flown. JFK2, thank you so much. Oh, sorry, buddy, go ahead.
After Aquashella, it's going to be the big event that we're going to do.
It will be the first big event of 2020. I mean, obviously, somebody. Go ahead.
There is a chance that James and I might do a bigger event in Kentucky when we do a talk with their fish club.
Yep.
And we would love 1,000 people to show up, even though they probably only have 15 seats.
Absolutely.
So it'll be awesome. It'll be
absolutely. All right. Let's see if I can't get through these before I run out of time here and run into Ed's time. JFK2 with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. I know you've been hanging out supporting the channel for a long time, and I really do appreciate it. Says stream looks great. Thanks for all the great content. Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. I'm not going to segue off, but I will say sometimes it gets difficult when I look at a video and I go, well, that got 300 views. And then I've got a friend that did a video and that was like, oh, that got 10,000 views. It can get discouraging. And I know that a lot of creators feel that way, but I try not to let it. So anytime I hear something or somebody is enjoying the content, that's what makes it worth it for me, is I know that somebody's enjoying it. So as long as there's somebody getting value, that's what keeps me here, regardless of how many people are showing up. So thank you so very, very much for that.
Yeah, the comments go so far when people say something nice. It really does.
I was just agreeing with you. Go ahead.
It also will help James and me or everybody. It helps because when they see that there's some action going on with it after it's been watched, that helps us in the algorithm too and whatever. So
it really, really does. Secret history. Hey, buddy. Secret history living in your aquarium with the $5 super chat. Dude, I appreciate that. I really, really do. Says, sorry for the times I've streamed over y'all and so forth. Love your channels, fellas. Hope all is well. No apologies needed, my friend. I do really appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Wasn't necessary, but very much appreciated. I mean, that's what keeps the channel going, right? It doesn't bother me. And I'll just say, and I've said it before, I am of the mindset that I do not mind competition. I understand the respect of the streaming calendar, if you will, for the smaller creators. And I say that in the sense of people that are not, 50, 100,000 creators. I appreciate, the fact that we all have that mutual respect and we try and not step on any toes. But like was it last week or the week before last, Zenzo Tazawa Tanks live streamed directly over us, so to speak. That doesn't bother me a bit. We kept the same concurrent viewers that he kept, and he's got a much bigger channel. I see it as just like TV. There's going to be competition, and that can only be good because that means you've got to up your game. If I'm going to stream against a Zenzo or anybody else, or even yourself, Alex, that means I've got to up my quality to tell people why they should come here, and that's the great thing about competition, is it typically tends to bring out better content. Because you can't just show up at 5% and go, oh, well, people are bored, so they're here, which it's great that we, do have something to occupy people, but it steps that content level up and it goes, oh, I've got competition. I need to bring my A game 110% because people do have an option to go somewhere if they're better than I am. So no worries. Never any hard feelings to anybody that streams while I'm on.
That said, I totally agree with you, but I saw Zenzo last night and I was going to punch him out, but then I thought I might hurt my hand, so I decided not to.
Right. Ed would really do that. That's great.
I got to eat with him, though. It was cool.
That's awesome. And I want to hear more about that on your stream next. Yeah. Pretty much as soon as I get through these super chats and last comments. So I'm going to try and roll through them quick so we're not stepping on your time. We're 59 minutes here. 100 people watching. Love you guys so much for that. Thank you. Ricky DeHoyos with the $5 super chat says, sound and audio good. Wish me luck and keep me in y'all's prayers as I'm going to my last chemo tomorrow. Ricky, I definitely will. As always, I appreciate the support, and I hope that it never negatively impacts you when you financially support here, because I know that the chemo and stuff can be expensive. My family incurred some major financial some bills from close family members having to go through therapies and things, and then when they passed, having the bills, which is not a problem, but I know that can be rough. But definitely will keep you in my prayers. And everybody, thoughts, prayers, positive vibes, whatever it is that is your thing. Please have those for Ricky. And the fish fam in general, we've got a lot of people that go through a lot of things, but we definitely will, Ricky, and I appreciate you, and good luck, brother. Bird Garden, how's it going, Rack? Says he is celebrating 1K event by super chatting 1K pennies. Thanks for all your help. Rack Bird Garden, congratulations on hitting that 1,000 subscribers. I know that was coming from having your other channel that had already hit 1K and been monetized, and then having to start over on another channel and go through that process again. I know it can be an interesting road to travel down. So congrats, brother. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. If you haven't checked out Bird Garden, I'm still going to recommend you check him out. Pegasus Arena, it's good to see you, Arena, with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Says, I finally got work schedule set to have Tuesdays off again to return to my 4 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Central time slot. Would you guys be available to join me for my return stream, please? I think so. Send me a message. You've got me on Facebook Messenger. Send me a message to just confirm with me. Because part of that also plays into, the kids and doctor's appointments and things like that and getting ready to leave town. But I think depending upon which Tuesday it is, shoot me a message. Definitely would love to be there if I possibly can. I probably can.
This
but thank
Tuesday,
you.
though, will be crazy because that'll be my only day home.
14
days.
It will definitely be interesting. But shoot me a message. Let us know exactly which Tuesday it is, and we'll see what we can work out. And again, thank you so much for the support and super chat, Rena. And I'm glad you're going to get to be able to go back to live streaming. I know you enjoyed that so very, very much. And it was fun being on your premiere live stream. T-Bones Fishy says, I've been clean for 6 years, 4 months now from the needle. I still get cravings every now and then after 6 years, but I have 3 tanks and a dog to look after now. That's what keeps me clean. Absolutely. And having that motivation to help, and it's different for everybody on different levels. And I won't get into a rant, not really rant, but a tangent because I'm already over my time and into ads. But fortunately, Rico's schedule's about 15 minutes late, so that gives us time to make up, right? But I'm glad to hear that. Congratulations on that. And I'm super glad to hear that you've got those things to help motivate you and keep you clean, keep you on the path. And we're glad to have you here, T-Bone. We really, really are. I love this community.
I think it's important, though, to point out people's character flaws. And I think T-Bone's biggest character flaw is every time I read his name, I get hungry.
Right.
I do.
Absolutely.
And it's worse because I'm eating. These things are dinner tonight. I packed a bunch of these little things. So in case I didn't get dinner, that's dinner tonight.
Absolutely. So MNC Aquatics says, I'll issue another hour challenge just like Corey did. Spend at least 1 hour working on your tanks. Absolutely. That's specifically or especially is important for the creators. So we have some really well-kept, beautiful tanks to show new people coming to the hobby. So they look and go, oh, wow, this looks like a great thing to do. But I would encourage that for anybody to give it a try. If and this is the whole thing, we could talk an hour on why it doesn't work, why it does work, all that stuff. We've touched on it before. But if you have the time to do it, I encourage you to spend an hour getting your hands wet in your tank every day. And you will be amazed at the results you get and the joy that you get out of the hobby doing that. A couple more super chats, Ed, and then we're going to jump over to yours. Y'all are so awesome with the support tonight. I really, really, really do appreciate it. It's, stuff like that and the members that make it possible for me to go to the events like Aquashella and things. So thank you so much. Fishaholic, and I'm familiar with your name. Very, very much so. Says, I'm a lurker as well, and I'm always in your stream, but not in chat much. But thanks, guys, for keeping this a Fish Authentic stream. Appreciate you. See you at Texas. Fishaholic, I'm looking forward to it. This goes to you and anybody else that's going to be there. Please do not hesitate to come up and say hi to me.
For sure. That's why we're here there.
Yeah, even if I'm filming, because chances are if you see me walking around, I will be filming. But the majority of what I'm doing is getting B-roll, so it's just recording. I'm not going to use the audio anyways. It doesn't hurt for me to stop the camera, start the camera. I might be on a live stream, but chances are if you're in here, you would know that because you would get a notification. But don't hesitate. I've had a couple people say, well, you were filming, so I didn't want to bother you. Please bother me because you're not bothering me. That's why I'm there. I go and I do those other things to bring content to the people that can't show up. But I'm there to hang out with the community, with the fish fam. So please do not hesitate one bit to walk up and tap me on the shoulder and go, hey, James, Fish Room Fever, what's going on? I'm so and so. Because I love hanging out with you guys and meeting you all. Thank you.
Before we go, did you have 2 things to give away?
I think I might do a special thing for that because I hadn't planned it out. I don't have it set up with doing the member stream that got set off. No, I've not figured out exactly how I'm going to do that. But we'll segue back to that at another time. Talk about that.
James and I didn't get. Normally, James and I get like an hour to a half hour before the streams to hang out and talk about everything. And I was in a lecture until about 9:15, so we didn't get much time.
Absolutely. But again, Fishaholic, I really do appreciate you. All of the lurkers. Thank you for the super chat there. But no, I appreciate the lurkers and listeners. I mean, I very much understand being that person that just listens and isn't always in the chat, but is they're still supporting the channel. You're still giving the view, you're still giving the watch time, you're doing all those things that support the channel. And I'm glad that you enjoyed enough to do that. So thank you. Mike's Aquatics and Things. What's going on, Mike, with that $5 super sticker with the good job, Fox? Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Mike. Always a pleasure having you around, and thank you for all your support. Sorry, Ed, I'm trying to wrap this up, but you also make it longer. No, I'm just kidding.
I do.
I'm just picking on you.
And I need to run to the restroom so bad.
Absolutely. Adam,
number 1, so it'll be quick.
There we go. Adam 22 2.0 with a $5 super chat. Nothing attached to it. Just throwing some money out there at us. Adam, I really do appreciate that support very, very much. And it's great to see your name on here. I don't know that I've seen it around before. I try and remember everybody. But thank you so much for that support. I will encourage you and anybody else, if you're considering doing a super chat and you're not a member, look at that option because you can actually get some additional value from that. And that's why I encourage it. I appreciate the support in any way, shape, and form, but I always want to try and bring as much value as possible. So that's always something to look at. Well, if I'm going to throw some money out there, I can do it in this way and I could get something back for it as well as the person that's doing the donation. Thank you so much, Adam. Appreciate you, my friend. Chris Robertson says, until yesterday, I think I hadn't heard of your channel. View count is partly because of how narrow or wide your channel name is. You have a new viewer and subscriber, and I appreciate that, Chris Robertson. Absolutely, and I'm glad to have you here. And that's part of why I went with Fish Room Fever. I won't go into it, and I've talked about it before, but why I settled on that name is because of how often people search fish or fish room. And it's great. We were at a hotel with Sean Peck. So that YouTube account, that was in no way, had ever heard anything about the Fish Room Fever channel. It's like, Sean, type in Fish Room and see what the recommended is. And Fish Room Fever is the second recommended thing. So yeah, I definitely made sure that was a part of it to try and get people to find it. And I'm glad that you found us, Chris. And I'm glad that you're enjoying the content enough to be here hanging out and be a subscriber. So thank you, my friend. Fish
Chattanooga Ed, clinics are number 1 when you go check out mine.
Yeah, the good old Chattanooga ED clinics are number 1 ranking there. Yeah. All right, I'm trying to get wrapped up for your stream, buddy, so you can go to the bathroom. But I appreciate all the love and support from everybody. Fishaholic says, I'm always there in your stream. Count me on that, bud. Thank you so much, Fishaholic. Again, all of the people that I may not know your names. You may only ever lurk and you may not be part of the chat. I know you're out there. I look at the number of people talking, the number of people here, and know that there's a variance, and I appreciate you for being a lurker. All right. Paul Sotero, one of those awesome people we mentioned earlier. $5 super chat says, let's go old school, and then throw in the 5 poop emojis for the brown piles of fertilizer. Thank you so much. Yeah, the piles of fertilizer, the poo kind of disappeared, went the way of the dodo when I couldn't find the party poppers anymore. So thanks for bringing back that old school. I appreciate it, Paul. Thank you for your support as always and for being a friend and support of the channel. Quick hello to Crystal and Vanny, and Jimmy P says, you make more money if Ed's salary was lower. Yeah, free that free salary of Ed being my friend, it runs on my budget. I think we're all
caught up. I wouldn't make as much.
Exactly, he wouldn't. We need to get Ed more, but no. We're going to let Ed run to the restroom. We're going to jump over to the Chattanooga Ed YouTube channel. Link will be in the description below if you're following live. If you're coming back to this on the replay and you've made it this far, hit the like button. I appreciate that so very, very much. Also, if this has been up for at least a day, you'll see 2 video options here that I think you will enjoy. Feel free to check those out. I'm curious to see which one gets more people to go to it. Until next time, my friends, a huge thank you to all the moderators, the members, the lurkers, listeners, super chatters, and contributors. Of course, the replay crew. I love you guys. Until next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care.